if there's some background music, I think one of the condos across the street from me is having a party today. Or maybe they're actually, it can't be, I don't think it's loud enough to be coming from the pool. But once in a while, the HOA across the street from me, they do like big block parties at their pool. Um, so there's some music kind of blasting through the neighborhood right now. But anyway, I wanted to, I've only gotten like 6 minutes, close to 7 minutes in on this video. But I haven't seen all of these ConneXions videos that Ruby and Jody did together. Oh my God, even. Life could have been so different for them if they had just embraced the fact that they had a lesbian attraction and treated their children with respect. I mean, life could have been so different for them. All right, let's go back.
Hey everybody, Dr. G here. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and body language expert, and today we're going to be analyzing more behavior and body language from Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt. I'm assuming that if you're watching this video, you probably already know that both of them have been charged with felony child abuse. What we're going to be looking at today are numerous videos from the ConneXions classroom, including ones on love and
6 counts apiece. 6 counts apiece of felony child abuse.
pain. Before we get started, a couple of quick things. Wanted to remind you that this is not a psychological evaluation of any kind. I'm just providing my opinions based on publicly available information. In addition to that, I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, let's go. We're going to start today by watching their video on pain. Let's just jump right in.
So what is pain? Is it bad? Is it wrong? Is it something to be avoided? No. Pain is an opportunity for growth. It is a place where you can gain wisdom about your experience, and it is an opportunity to grow.
So essentially, they're describing pain as a positive thing. I want you to keep that in mind as we continue to watch this, because you really have to be able to watch a lot of this in context to be able to make sense of how they see it and how they use it.
Like, have you ever heard, like in the gym, no pain, no gain? That's what pain.
Let's be real, Jody. You're not going to a gym. Okay? At all. Look at you. You are not going to a gym. And for those of us who have been regular attendees to gyms or doing physical work, that kind of pain is, I'm going to push myself further, right? I'm going to try and build more muscle mass. That is not the same goddamn thing as what you were doing to these kids.
In a sport, it's an opportunity to develop, to stretch, to motivate yourself.
Now, in terms of the body language right here, one thing that I've seen is that Ruby Franke doesn't seem to be as excited by pain as Jody Hildebrandt does. And so oftentimes when she talks about pain, she does this. Watch this right here.
No. Pain is an opportunity for growth. It is a place where you can gain wisdom.
So see, now she's looking intensely at Ruby saying, it's a place that you can gain wisdom. The way that it seems here is that she is talking to Ruby. It's almost like, in my opinion, sort of keeping her in line about these things, saying pain is used this way and this way and this way. I think the dynamic between them is that Jody is the teacher, Ruby is the student, and Ruby is the one who continues to learn and grow based on what she's learning from Jody. So that's oftentimes how she takes this information. And Jody, I think, sometimes wants to keep her in line to make sure she's listening.
Like, have you ever heard, like in the gym, no pain, no gain? That's what pain is for. It's an opportunity.
I just want to reiterate here, restate that there is no fucking way that Jody Hildebrandt was attending a gym. That was not happening. Even if she had exercise equipment at her own compound in Ivans or whatever it's called, she wasn't using that equipment. Look, I'm in pain on a daily basis from getting bit by an attack dog. But at the time, I already was experiencing some joint pain from the fact that I was walking 8 hours a day to complete my job. And that's a very physical thing to do. It pushes your body, especially depending on how steep the cliffs are that you have to walk. And I was given some very steep precincts, because apparently, as a little white Karen, I do well in the rich neighborhoods, and the rich neighborhoods are all fucking steep. I'm just being real with you. So when I was knocking on doors as a daily occupation, 6 days a week, 66 hours a week of work for the pack that I was working for, that was hard on my 48-year-old body at the time. I turned 49 in the middle of it. Um, that's not easy on an older body, right? No, pain is not a good thing. No pain, no gain. Give me a goddamn break. This is like the same thing that, like, a lot of occupations will be like, we work hard, we play hard, right? And then they'll have like team building exercises and shit like that. But it's a way of trying to make up for the pushing you harder than they should, because they should have actually hired more people, right? Jody, I think, just like made everything up. I don't think this could possibly be what they actually teach in reputable colleges about psychology. I'm just not seeing it. This is a woman who's like, I enjoy torturing children, so let's dive into the aspects of pain is good. Well, obviously you're not experiencing any pain, Jody. You're not going to the gym. Look at you. You are not going to the gym. You're not using the elliptical. You're not on the treadmill. You're not on the stationary bike. You're not lifting weights. You do not look cut, girlfriend.
Opportunity to develop, to stretch.
She raised her eyebrows. To stretch, to motivate. She really is into this idea of pain.
Motivate yourself to practice using your agency inside truth rather than distortion. So the reality about pain is it's necessary. It is a gift.
It's a gift.
Pain is a gift. Gift.
So here they are using the term gift again. They used this same term in the last video that I made because I explored when they were talking about their children not eating. Basically, Ruby had basically said that if somebody goes to bed late and they don't eat breakfast and then they don't eat lunch, that what a gift.
Yeah, Jody, how many meals did you skip so that you can endure some pain? Doesn't look like you skipped any. You look like a fatty pie. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about, like gym references, and you're talking. Oh wow, okay. We're gonna malnourish these little kids and tie them up. Wow.
It is for them to learn responsibility through the suffering of not eating. And so this, once again, this idea that pain, suffering, all of these things are a gift for their children, it's wild. But let's hear her say that again.
Is it's necessary. It is a gift. Pain is a gift? Gift? Pain is a gift. It is? Yes.
Now that is a real smile. She seems to have real joy thinking about this. And also is one of the things that they do in a lot of their videos is to tell you to go against your instincts. As she's impersonating right here, somebody reacting, pain's a gift? Yes, it is. And she just seems to make her exuberant. She just seems to love this so much.
Well, on top of it, this is supposed to be a like mothers giving advice on parenting, right? First of all, like, most of us don't even like the gym reference. Most children are not even allowed to attend a gym, and at least in America, until they're 16, right? Because it's complicated equipment that you're working with when you're trying to build up your muscle mass. But this is a completely different concept from guys. She tied those kids up, duct taped them, poured honey and paprika, I think it was, or something, or cayenne pepper. That's what it was. It was cayenne pepper. On their wounds, their open wounds. And at least one of those children had wounds that were so deep that they were bone deep. You could see the bone. And she's like, oh yeah, pain is a gift. Oh, really, fatty? Really, fatty pie? Yeah. You know what? I sincerely hope that your cellmates jump you and tie you down, hog tie you, and pour honey and cayenne pepper all over your fucking body.
Because I've learned how to manage myself and put my pain on like a spectrum of, okay, this.
So she used air quotes to describe pain as though it's not a real thing. It's very interesting that she can trivialize pain despite the fact she's complaining about a headache, essentially. But doing that probably makes her say, well, now we can cause other people pain because I can tolerate it and because that's the right way to be, or the way to be in truth, or whatever nonsense words they're using.
Invite my body and my spirit to manage discomfort because discomfort's a part of life. And so that's part of the wisdom of experiencing pain, is learning to manage it, and you don't call it bad. So the whole time I've been sitting here with a headache.
So you're not allowed to call pain bad. It's a really fascinating concept that you can't say having a headache is bad. I am in pain. That is bad. But if you live by that rule, then if kids complain about pain, you tell them no, pain is bad. If you are in pain or if you complain about something, then that is a distorted way of thinking. I know that's not how they phrase it. I just can't use it the way they do. That's a distorted way of thinking, and that you're not living in truth or whatever it is. So this is a manipulative tactic to talk about things in this way.
And I'm just being responsible for the discomfort. And I'm not calling it this is bad or this is wrong or this should be happening. This is an opportunity for me to practice being humble, both in spirit, both in emotion, and both physically.
Well, I would say you have been graceful. You haven't been complaining. You've heard grace under fire, grace under.
You see, once again, she said you haven't been complaining. That excites her. The idea of people shouldn't complain. People should never tell you when they're uncomfortable. People shouldn't tell you when something doesn't feel good. Watch her face again when Ruby says this.
Well, I would say you have been graceful. You haven't been complaining. You've heard grace.
So see the eyebrows go up. It brings emphasis to her face. She's smiling. See, I haven't been complaining. Look how great that is.
And say to yourself, this isn't bad. Regardless of what presents, pain is not bad or wrong. It's an opportunity to...
Shut the fuck up. Oh my God. I have been on medical leave for 1.5 years because I have nerve damage in my left leg. Pain is bad. Pain is bad. It has prevented me from completing my job. It has put me in a precarious situation of not knowing what I do next because I haven't healed. Don't tell me that pain is not bad. Oh my God, you fat fucking bitch who never goddamn went to a gym. I worked out goddamn hard. I cut my muscles. What the hell even with you?
Develop.
Think about the fact that this is a group for moms. And so they're talking about this in the context of parenting oftentimes. I really want you to keep in mind the context that they're trying to give these lessons under. Now we're going to watch some of their video on love.
Oh, no.
You might leave this
video going, oh, what I always thought was not love is actually loving, and what is loving is not what I thought it was.
Whenever they say things
What?
like this, you know that they're going to say something that I probably am going to perceive as dangerous, but let's keep going.
Follow us through all of the examples. They may trigger you and say, that's not true. I'm loving when I do that. And what you have to do is look at your motive, because we're going to give you examples of people who have motives that are in distortion, though they claim that they're in truth, though they claim they're in love.
Yeah.
So this is sort of a brainwashing effort, basically saying left is right, up is down. What you think is love isn't love, and we're going to explain why. Let's just keep watching and see where this goes.
So as you listen, are you willing to put aside your feelings? Are you willing to put aside the chemical hit or all of the hormones that are going through your body in what you would call a loving situation, and really assess, is what I think love in truth, or is what I think love is in distortion?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm going to love my partner, and I'm going to love my son, and I'm going to, make meals for them, and I'm going to read bedtime stories. I'm going to sing with them. I'm going to have memorable experiences where, they have lifelong experiences with me that they know that they were loved and they were taught music and things of that nature. They're not going to have predominant memories of abuse, of discipline, which, by the way, the discipline was abuse. I mean, it was like way the fuck over the top. We're not talking about, hey, you're in timeout, you need to go to your room for like 30 minutes. That's not even the equivalent here. We're talking, she tied these kids down so tightly that the lacerations went down to the bone. And then she poured honey and cayenne pepper on those wounds, gauzed them up, and put duct tape over it. These two women are so disgusting, you guys.
And that's really challenging because I just saw a commercial. Somebody showed me a commercial about a little girl who was playing in the back of the car with a toy, like an electronic toy.
Like on an iPad or something.
Now, we've heard Jody say that anger is her favorite emotion, and I don't think that she liked being interrupted by Ruby right here. Watch this.
Toy.
Like on an iPad or something.
You saw her blink a lot, and now she's giving her a curt This interesting that there's this passive-aggressive hum underneath. I'm going to show this one more time because, frankly, I just like watching them not get along.
Somebody showed me a commercial about a little girl who was playing in the back of the car with a toy, like an electronic toy.
Like on an iPad or something.
And it took batteries. And
then you have more control over your daughter. So power and control equals love.
Love, quote unquote.
Love. If you can control your daughter not to scream, if you can control her to do what you want her to do, well, now you're a loving parent.
Right. And what you would say is, I'm controlling her to be happy.
What's wrong with that?
Trying to get her to be happy. I don't want her to not be happy. Mm-hmm. And so...
Have the two of you ever heard of redirection? That if your child's acting up, that maybe you redirect them to a different activity so that they are not acting up any... I can't even with these two bitches. Oh my God.
So the concept of happiness, the idea of wanting your children to be happy, the idea that seems wrong to Jody with the way that she's saying this. Once again, she's saying it in a loud, aggressive, and curt way. Listen to this one more time.
Well, now you're a loving parent.
Right. And what you would say is, I'm controlling her to be happy.
What's wrong with that?
Trying to get her to be happy. I don't want her to not be happy. Mm-hmm. And so this is where we're...
Look at the disdain, the disgust after she says this. Watch one last time on this part right here.
Parent.
Right. And what you would say is, I'm controlling her to be happy.
What's wrong with that?
Trying to get her to be happy. I don't want her to not be happy.
That's a look of disgust. I've pointed that out before, but you look at the corners of the mouth going down. She's disgusted at someone who would say this.
And so this is where we're encouraging you. And we're both parents. We understand children and children's happiness and how, so many of us, our whole life's goal is to make our kids happy. And most of the time we're trying to make our kids happy. What we're actually
So what she's doing is talking about trying to make your kids happy as though it's an absurd idea, rolling her eyes, saying it in a way that's meant to look sort of ridiculous. Watch her say this again.
children's happiness and how, so many of us, our whole life's goal is to make our kids happy. And most of the time we're trying to make our kids happy. What we're actually doing is being in distortion and inviting them into a controlling dynamic.
Well, I know when I was greatly living in distortion, when I would say, I want my children to be happy, what I was really saying is, I want my children to not bug me.
So this is interesting. So
Yeah.
now we're getting an idea of the way that Ruby Frank thinks.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. That's why she gave her kids over to Jody, because she just was like, done. I don't want to be a mom anymore. I don't want to have to deal with these kids anymore. And I'm also totally in this infatuated romance with Jody now, right? Allegedly. So she's like, yeah, just do whatever. Just get them out of my sight. Get them out of my sight. I don't care what happens to them. Right, Ruby?
So to me, actually, I don't think of this as being how most parents think. So it's interesting to get some insight into how she assumes everybody else feels.
I want my children to not interfere with my agenda. I don't want my children to interrupt. And it takes a real humble parent to admit to that and to see that and then to change.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it takes a real humble parent to actually stand up to their responsibilities of actually feeding their children, paying attention to their schoolwork and their extracurricular activities, making sure that all the utilities are paid, that the rent is paid, that you are actually providing for your child. And you were a millionaire. You had all the resources in the world. If you were challenged, you could have hired a maid or what do they call that? It's like an au pair or something like that, where you bring in somebody who is willing to help you kind of manage your kids as well as like clean your house and stuff. I think it's called an au pair, but I don't really remember. But I mean, there were so many fucking options for this bitch, and instead she is in jail. She's probably going to be in jail for the rest of her life or prison. It's crazy that she went this direction. When I fought so hard, like, I always am looking at my own experience, and I'm like, I was a single mom the majority of his life. Like, I got divorced like 6 months after he was born, right? So all the way up to 18, and then he stayed with me for several years later. Like, it's not like I just like kicked him out of the house. I kept him on my medical, and he was in the house for several years later, until he could figure out like what his life goals were. But that's just not. I mean, she obviously just valued her like. This is a woman who the only thing she was doing was vlogging, right? She had a very privileged existence of not having to go to like an office job like I had to do. I was a proposal writer for 10 years, and before that I was doing other sales functions for various companies. And I did that to provide for my son. I came home and I read Harry Potter to him. I helped him with his homework. I can't even imagine being this self-centered, this cruel to your own kids,
Good.
And you see that look right on the edge of Ruby's mouth right there. That's what we typically associate with contempt. So her talking about this seems to actually bother her quite a lot.
So we're inviting you to reconsider your definition of love and how you manifest love. My daughter had a birthday the other day.
No. My love includes supporting, uplifting, and educating my children. That's my child. I only have one. But this is true with, I guess I say that because I've also been in relationships, right? I don't walk into a relationship and think I need to torture this person because pain is a gift. It's a goddamn gift. Look, if pain is a gift, it's going to be when I reach out to my boyfriend and say, let's get a gym membership and try and like build up our bodies. She obviously has never been to the gym, fatty pie. Okay. Like that is not possible. You don't even know what that reference means. Like, you do not know what it means to overexert yourself physically and have like the toxins that come out and stiffen up your muscles for the next couple of days. Like, you literally have never felt that, Jody.
And she was choosing to behave super selfish. And she and I were conversing, and I said, wow. And this was on her birthday. I said this. Wow, I am really sad, and it hurts my heart to watch you behave so selfishly.
Oh, God.
And Ruby,
Look at the pride on Jody Hildebrandt's face that she would tell her daughter this on her birthday.
Wow.
I'm very curious what the behavior was that she thought was so selfish, because she doesn't tell us what it is. But the idea that she confronted her daughter seems to be something that she gets great joy
on
from.
her birthday.
We'll watch that part and I'm going to let it keep going.
and this was on her birthday. I said this. Wow, I am really sad, and it hurts my heart to watch you behave so selfishly. And Ruby smiled like, wow, you said that on her birthday? And I said, yeah, I did. And she's like, good job. High five.
Wow.
Look at things, once again, the joy that they get when they talk about the ways that they talk to children that would be upsetting, that whether it's birthdays, Christmas, whatever special day it is. Yeah, you'd be willing to talk to your kid like that on their birthday. I mean, you're talking about high-fiving each other. Just look at the joy on their faces right now. Let's hear them say that again, and I'm going to let it keep going.
God.
So selfishly. And Ruby smiled like, wow, you said that on her birthday? And I said, yeah, I did. And she's like, good job. High five. Because I love my daughter.
And so this dynamic between them, they're reinforcing the worst traits of each other. Yes, you should be confrontational with your daughter. Yeah, you should tell her that she's selfish on her birthday. The idea that they're supporting these behaviors from each other certainly isn't going to help.
I love my daughter.
I don't
And
think so.
because I love my daughter, I am not interested in fulfilling some selfish agenda of me wanting to make sure that she, on her birthday, is not upset with me. I will always reflect truth to my child. Always.
So what she's saying is that based on what they've said so far, I interpret that as I don't care if my child is happy on her birthday or not. That's essentially what she's trying to say.
Truth is always loving, and the world might look at you and say, wow, Jody, that wasn't very loving, especially on her birthday. I have an example of something really similar. Well, I want to share. I thought was loving. However, the fruits of what I was providing for my children, the love I was offering them, was inviting them into destruction. So for many years, I ran a YouTube channel called 8 Passengers. And in doing so, we found a lot of success. We were one of the very few.
Now, as she's talking about her success, watch Jody's face. Not an ounce of joy, not a smile, nothing from her. But Jody does not seem to love hearing her talk about her 8 passengers. Just watch Jody while she talks about this.
That was loving. However, the fruits of what I was providing for my children, the love I was offering them, was inviting them into destruction. So
While Ruby is talking, I want you to pay attention to Jody's breathing. She's breathing heavy and fast, which means her heart is pumping harder. Because when our heart pumps faster because of adrenaline, it uses up more oxygen, so we have to breathe faster and breathe harder. And I think that what Ruby is talking about really bothers her. Just watch.
This is ironic too, because like there's this like jealousy element going on there, whereas the jailhouse snitch basically made it out that Ruby was smitten by Jody, and she was asking all sorts of questions about her, right? So Jody clearly has some disdain here. I don't think she knows how to connect with people at all. You know, she wants to have all these relationships. She wants to split up marriages. She wants to torture children. But once she gets into these manipulative lesbian relationships, she then still is so miserable that she can't connect. She can't connect. So it's upsetting her that Ruby has a higher fan base on YouTube than she does with her ConneXions channel.
Jody's breathing right here.
Found a lot of success. We were one of the very few who made it big, and we had a lot of views, a lot of eyes on us. And as a result, companies would send us their products. We had every day, our porch became a plethora of Santa Claus. We had shoes sent to us. We had vacations given to us. We would travel the world for free. We were given, we'd go to the movies and people would recognize us and they'd give us free popcorn and Slurpees. We had free,
See Jody shaking her head in disapproval. The whole idea of this is so frustrating to her. I presume, and this is just my guess, I'm not insisting this, I think it's very possible that Jody is quite jealous of the success that Ruby had.
Yeah.
you name it, from
But on top of it, it's also that Ruby is also exposing her personality of how she wants to brag about what she had. I mean, it was her choice to give it all up, as far as I could. Well, I mean, the fan base, from what I heard, from what I've read, came after her for the abusive stuff that they were already seeing. And Jody was apparently already a part of their lives at that point, like instructing Ruby like how to be a parent. So she was getting all this stuff. She was getting millions of dollars and stuff. And Ruby wanted to bring her into ConneXions so that she could pump up her own channel. But at the same time, she's very jealous of the fact that Ruby was more successful in this venue. Like, I don't think Jody's going to go on to list all the shit that she got. But this also describes something about Ruby's personality, that she needs to be like dropping all this stuff. Hey, I got all these free things, and you know, life was grand. It was wonderful. Okay, well, how wonderful is it now that Kevin's been moved out for 14 months and you are now in jail with your lesbian lover? Okay, let's go.
clothes to toys to games to vacations.
And now you can see, if you look at Jody's brow, it's getting more and more angry as this goes on.
To, cars and like, you name it, it was just given to us. And I thought, wow, look at what I'm providing for my children. I'm giving them something I never had as a kid. I'm providing them with so much. Isn't that love? And I thought for many years it was loving. Now, the fruits of love.
So when she lets go, when she gets excited, is once Ruby starts talking about the fact that it was bad, that you should reject it all, that it was not good. Just watch this.
Okay.
Isn't that love? And I thought for many years it was loving. Now, the fruits of love, again, they bring creation. They invite a child to know who they are. And I saw the fruits, and they weren't so fruitful. They were rotten. That the axiom, they were spoiled rotten. My children were.
All right, so now you see her laughing. Now she's calming down. Now she's feeling good again. When you hear Ruby saying that her kids were rotten, to use her terminology, Jody's anger was soothed by her statement.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiled rotten. And it came out in their attitudes. It came out in, I'm bored. No kid had more toys or games at their feet than mine, and they were bored. How
Which means selfish, by the way.
how is that even possible?
Ruby, they were humiliated. Their classmates could see your YouTube videos. They were humiliated. They had no friends, and you were abusing them at home. Taking away meals is abuse. Tying a child to the ground is abuse. Oh my God, even.
Right.
Pretty sure bored just means bored. But once again, every word has to have a second definition for these two.
I knew it became a problem when there were boxes on the push and nobody wanted to open them anymore because they got bored with having packages come to the house. So I did what a true loving mom would do, and I
You see, once again, you see Jody shaking her head. This is something she disapproves
was on the
of.
push and nobody wanted to open them anymore because they got bored with having packages come to the house. So I did what a true loving mom would do, and I said, no more. Not going to do this anymore. Who says no to free packages, gifts, money, vacations? Someone who's truly loving.
Yes.
No, somebody who ended up in a lesbian relationship because there's a therapist who is running basically a cult to separate married couples. Right? Isn't that what's really happened here? Is that she was running a therapist relationship to separate married couples. That's what happened.
And I can.
And there's the look again. Watch Ruby Franke's mouth. This is a facial expression that we associate with contempt. Watch this right here.
To free packages, gifts, money, vacations. Someone who's truly loving.
Yes.
So I'm not sure how much she really is glad that she's given up all this stuff. I guess you have to listen to what she says about it, but her face suggests that there's some degree of contempt about something.
Is what I'm doing really, truly loving? Or is what I'm doing because I want something out of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were people, and I would say people who were close to you, that were inviting you very.
Now, this is interesting. Watch Ruby Franke's body right here. When she says people that were close to you, she leans back. She did not like that.
And there were people, and I would say people who were close to you, that were.
See, her body moved back.
I see it.
And we do that to try to create physical distance. They are oftentimes very close. They're practically touching half the time. And sometimes they do. They're just sitting right next to each other. So something about saying that really hit Ruby Franke the wrong way.
Inviting you very strongly to go into that deception, to deceive all of you and say, we're sorry, so that you could. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now we're going to watch a clip on their video about sexuality.
Oh, God.
Feel released in their sexuality, and then we refuse to have them go out and work. If you want your kid to truly engage in his or her sexuality, give them a broom, give them a shovel, send them outside, put some work gloves on them, get them sweating.
So once again,
What? I mean, when my son had a discussion about his sexuality with me, we sat down on the couch and talked about it. What are you talking about? Like, make them go do manual labor when they need to talk about sexuality? Like, what are you even talking about?
they have this hypersexual focus on everything that is not sexual. And that's actually not what we're focusing on now. I just had to show that part to the lead up, the part that's next, because this is far more interesting.
Sexuality. Don't give them
Let them get some blisters on their hands.
We have an ongoing disagreement about work.
So they have an ongoing disagreement here. So this means that they are talking about the kids wearing work gloves. So you have Jody here, who's apparently against work gloves.
Why?
And it seems like Ruby is trying to suggest that kids should wear work gloves.
Work gloves. It's her perception. You can have work gloves if you want. She thinks that's for wimps. I like work gloves.
Look at that fatty pie. She's not doing any garden work, okay? She's not doing any landscaping. So, whatever her fucking opinions are about anything physical are completely irrelevant.
Calloused hands.
So look at this dynamic between them. So it goes to show that Jody has a very specific way of seeing things, a very specific agenda, and it seems like Ruby struggles with that a little bit. Let's watch that whole interaction again, and then we'll talk about it.
Give them a broom. Give them a shovel. Send them outside. Put some work gloves on them. Get them sweating. That will help them engage in their sexuality. Don't give them work.
Let them get some blisters on their hands.
We have an ongoing disagreement about work gloves.
Look at the intensity of Jody's laugh. It's really remarkable. And then Ruby is looking for acceptance, looking to make sure she's saying the right thing. Jody's not even looking at her. She's just so deeply into this right now.
It's her perception. You can have work gloves if you want. She thinks that's for wimps. I like work
My
gloves.
calloused hands.
What an absolutely weird interaction. It's just so strange. But it also shows that dynamic, the conflict that's there, that they do have conflict about how they should manage things. It sounds like that Jody goes a lot farther than Ruby probably would on her own. So now we're going to see Ruby Frank talking about reality.
Truth doesn't need backing up. You know what does need backing up? Distortion. Because it's not reality. And so anyone who comes and says, "Where's your proof?" that person is in distortion.
Oh, really?
So anytime you're asking someone for proof of something they said or did or whatever, they're telling them that that is a distorted way of looking at it.
Because they're trying to control. They're saying, "I'm not going to believe you until I see proof."
So you're not allowed to ask for proof to believe someone. That is a scary thing to say.
Right.
And it's like, well, you don't believe in reality? You need proof that reality exists? That's distorted. Truth is love. Truth creates. Truth gives inspiration. Distortion deceives.
I know I said this on the last video, but the things that Ruby Frank says are just ravings. Like this doesn't make any sense. I really genuinely, like, if you really pay attention to everything that was just said, it really doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
Distortion destroys. And I don't care how big the crowd is. Crowds cannot say what is wrong, what truth has proclaimed to be right.
Now we're going to listen to Jody talk about children acting out.
Start acting out with behaviors, video games, or they may act out with lust, they may act out with drugs or food,
There's the food again. That's a consistent theme through so many videos.
or aggression, or some kids act out with.
And that's so wild, too, because this chick is overweight. She's clearly obese. She doesn't go to a gym. And so for her to be constantly talking about, like, obviously she has some sort of mental connection here with food that is unhealthy. And she's projecting it onto everybody around her. But clearly she's not observing it herself, because there is no fucking way she would be the size that she is if she was, subtracting some meals out of her day.
Like reading books, like they hide behind books.
So now we've got drugs, food, aggression, and books. So the idea that you can interpret children reading books as them acting out. So what this is doing is this is putting the parent in absolute control, that anything and everything can be defined as acting out, much like anything and everything can be defined as sexual if you watch their video on things that are sexual.
Some kids want to, hang with their friends all the time. They don't want to come home, so they distract themselves with their friends. There are all these different behaviors that kids and adults go into to distract themselves from the fear that they don't matter. And usually they don't even know that they have the fear because they're afraid to even look that way, and no one usually even helps.
So the fear of not being loved is making children read. Like
Okay.
the logic here, once again, the whole purpose of this seems to be to give as much control to the adult as humanly possible. Now we're going to watch a little bit of the intro video to Moms of Truth, which eventually became ConneXions.
Behaviors, and they don't have truth, because you can't be doing that and live in truth. You cannot do that and live in truth. So I am not interested in getting into a tug of war around political issues. I am not interested. And what I am interested in is you. I am interested in you.
So to me, this sounds like a fake voice quivering to make people affected and to feel connected. This is something we've seen somewhere else, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But Jody Hildebrandt right here is making her voice quiver. Maybe it's possible that she really is that moved at the idea of helping people. But oftentimes when I've seen people do this, particularly in introduction videos and that sort of thing, it's a way to draw people in. Just like when we smile, we hope other people reflect that smile. The idea of tearing up and creating an emotional moment that is not real is another way to connect with people. Let's watch this again. I'd be curious to hear what you think, to see if you think that this is real or not.
Into a tug of war around political issues. I am not interested. And what I am interested in is you. I am interested in you. I love you as a sister.
I'm not trying to make a joke here. This was my genuine first reaction. Just watch this cult leader talk for a second.
This is as scientific. This is as true could be, but you have to know me. You have to trust me. You have to believe me. Some can know me now. Some can even know me for the first time when they see this tape.
It's the same sort of voice quivering to connect with the people that they're talking to.
Wow.
Now, obviously, there are sometimes people that are talking that genuinely get choked up. It's not like nobody ever actually feels that level of emotion, but it certainly didn't seem real when Jody was doing it, and it definitely isn't real when Doe from Heaven's Gate is doing it. Point being is that there's something about the performance of this. There's something about the idea that it feels manipulative. So that pretty much wraps it up for today. Hopefully this gives you a better idea of some of the weirder behavior and body language that we've seen from Jody Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke. If y'all are interested, I can keep analyzing this stuff because they have a lot of videos. Otherwise, if you have any other ideas, please let me know in the comments below. And before we wrap things up, I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, thanks for...
Okay, I'll stop there. So, wow. Oh my god, even with these two. Well, I hope the kids are healing. I hope they got stitched up and they're in a safe space. And, I mean, holy shit. Like, how do you not raise children and be like, okay, let me read you bedtime stories. We're gonna have some brats and potatoes and creamed spinach for dinner. You know, like, how do you not, you're raising a child. How do you not, like, actually want to make sure they are fed, that they get their breakfast, like at least a bowl of cereal, right? And either a packed lunch or some money for the school lunch. These bitches were taking kids out of school because they didn't want the mandatory reporters. These crazy bitches, you guys. And there is no way Jody can make any comparisons to going to a gym. Look, I've been going to gyms for like 30 fucking years. And I'm kind of like Oprah. I go up and down in weight. But the times that I go up are the times that I'm not going to the gym, right? I'm not working out anymore. The pain that you get from starting an exercise regimen is only like the first 3 days. It's like from there on, everything else, like, you get endorphins. Like, you feel good about, like, you can't make that comparison. And that fat bitch can't fucking talk about working out. She seriously cannot talk about working out. Oh my God, with this one.